She said, "I faked it every time. You should know that." During a fight, trying to destroy my confidence. I said, "Good acting." Then I left. She didn't expect that response, or the silence that followed for 6 months. We were having one of those fights that starts about nothing and escalates into everything. I honestly can't even remember what triggered it. Maybe I forgot to pick up groceries. Maybe I didn't respond to her text fast enough. With Jessica, it could have been anything. What I do remember is standing in our kitchen at 9 p.m. on a Wednesday, watching her face turn red as she went through her usual script of complaints. I wasn't attentive enough. I didn't make her feel special. I was boring and predictable. The usual stuff she'd throw at me whenever she wanted to feel superior. I was a financial analyst at an investment firm in downtown Chicago. Not the most exciting job, but it paid well and gave us a comfortable life in a nice apartment in River North. Jessica worked as a yoga instructor at one of those trendy studios downtown, where memberships cost more than most people's car payments. She made decent money teaching classes and doing some private sessions, but nowhere near what I brought in. Not that I ever mentioned that during our arguments. I figured relationships weren't supposed to be about keeping score. Apparently, I was wrong about that. Looking back now, I can see the pattern was there from the beginning. Little comments here and there about how I could dress better, be more spontaneous, be more like her friends' boyfriends who took them on surprise weekend trips or posted elaborate declarations of love on social media. I'd brushed it off as her just wanting me to grow, to be better. Now I realize she just wanted me to be different. The apartment we shared was nice. 2-bedroom, floor-to-ceiling windows with a view of the city, updated kitchen that Jessica had insisted we needed, even though our old place was perfectly fine. I'd agreed, because I wanted her to be happy. That was always my mistake, thinking that making her happy was actually possible. The fight had been going on for maybe 20 minutes. I was doing what I always did, trying to stay calm and rational while she got more and more worked up. I'd respond to her points with measured logic, trying to find common ground, suggesting solutions. She'd just get more frustrated with every reasonable thing I said, like my refusal to match her energy was somehow another offense on the list. I thought if I just stayed patient, she'd burn herself out and we could talk it through like adults. That's what I'd been doing for the past 2 years we'd been together. De-escalate, wait it out, then have a productive conversation once emotions cooled down. It had worked before, sort of, in the sense that the fights would end and we'd go back to normal, until the next one. This particular argument had started because I'd made plans with my buddy Jake for Sunday without checking with her first. Never mind that she made plans constantly without consulting me. Never mind that Sunday was 3 days away and she hadn't mentioned having any plans. The point was that I should have asked, should have known, should have prioritized her hypothetical potential plans over my actual confirmed plans. I'd tried explaining that Jake was only in town for the weekend, that I'd already canceled on him twice before, that I'd be happy to do something with her Saturday or any evening that week. None of it mattered. What mattered was that I'd made a choice without her input, and that was unacceptable. Then she said it. You want to know the truth? I faked it every single time. Every single time. You should know that. She was looking right at me when she said it. Not angry anymore. Almost satisfied. Like she'd been saving this particular weapon for just the right moment and finally got to use it. Her arms were crossed, chin slightly raised, eyes locked on mine, waiting for the impact. I felt something shift inside me. Not heartbreak. Not even anger. Just this weird sense of clarity. Like I'd been looking at one of those optical illusions and suddenly saw what it really was. All the pieces fell into place at once. Every dismissive comment. Every time she'd made me feel like I wasn't enough. Every fight where she'd escalate until I broke and apologize just to make it stop. She just revealed the game we'd been playing, and I was done playing. I nodded slowly. Good acting, I said. Her expression changed immediately. The satisfaction drained away, replaced by confusion and something that might have been fear. She'd expected tears, maybe begging, probably some desperate attempt to defend myself or prove her wrong. Definitely some kind of emotional reaction she could feed off of, could use to escalate the fight even further or make herself feel powerful. Instead, I grabbed my keys from the counter and my wallet from the table. Where are you going? She asked. The satisfaction in her voice was already fading into confusion. Then, panic started creeping in. We're not done talking about this. I think we are, I said calmly. So you're just going to leave? That's your response? Just walking out? Yep. That's so typical of you. Running away instead of dealing with problems. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You never fight for us. I paused at the door and turned to look at her. Really look at her. Jessica, what exactly do you want me to fight for right now? You just told me you've been faking intimacy for 2 years. What am I supposed to do with that information? Beg you to tell me it's not true? Convince you to keep faking it? I'm good. Then I left. I didn't slam the door, didn't raise my voice, just walked out of the apartment and got in my car. I drove to a 24-hour diner about 15 minutes away in Lincoln Park and ordered coffee. My phone started blowing up before I even got my first sip. The texts started apologetic. I didn't mean it. I was just angry. Please come back so we can talk. Then they shifted to accusatory after about 15 minutes of no response. You're really going to just leave over this? Typical. Running away instead of dealing with problems. I'm trying to apologize and you can't even respond? Then back to desperate around the 30-minute mark. Please, I'm sorry, I love you. I'm scared. Where are you? Can we please just talk about this? I finished my coffee, ordered a slice of pie. The waitress was an older woman who'd probably seen 1,000 guys like me sitting in this exact booth, having the exact same kind of night. She didn't ask questions, just kept my coffee cup filled and let me sit there in peace. I read through every text without responding to a single one. I wasn't trying to punish her. I genuinely didn't know what to say. What do you say to someone who just admitted to faking the most intimate part of your relationship? Thanks for letting me know. Sorry I didn't measure up. Let's work on it together. None of it felt right. None of it felt true. So I sat there and ate my pie and watched people come and go from the diner. A couple of college kids obviously coming from a party. A construction crew on break from a night shift. A woman about my age sitting alone reading a book and eating pancakes at midnight like it was the most normal thing in the world. I thought about my relationship with Jessica. Really thought about it without the rose-colored glasses I'd been wearing. When was the last time I'd felt genuinely happy with her? Not just content or comfortable, but actually happy? I couldn't remember. When was the last time she'd done something thoughtful just because? When had she last asked about my day and actually listened to the answer instead of just waiting for her turn to talk? The honest answer was never, or at least not in so long that I couldn't recall a specific instance. I'd been working myself to death for 2 years to give us a nice life. I'd sacrificed time with friends, hobbies I enjoyed, even career opportunities that would have required travel, because Jessica said she needed me around more. And for what? To be told during a fight that she'd been pretending the whole time? When I finally drove home around midnight, all the lights in the apartment were off. It was after 1 a.m. by the time I got back, actually. I'd sat in that diner for over 3 hours just thinking. Jessica was in bed, pretending to be asleep. I could tell by her breathing. It was too controlled, too measured. When she actually slept, she snored lightly. This was the breathing of someone lying perfectly still, hoping I'd try to wake her up so we could have the tearful reconciliation she'd probably scripted in her head. I grabbed my pillow and went to sleep on the couch. She never came out to talk. I slept surprisingly well, actually. Better than I had in months. The next morning, I woke up early and went to the gym before work. It was something I'd been meaning to get back to but kept putting off because Jessica liked to sleep in and wanted me around when she woke up. Well, she could wake up alone for once. When I got home to shower and change, Jessica was in the kitchen making breakfast. She'd gone all out. Scrambled eggs with cheese, turkey bacon, whole wheat toast, even fresh squeezed orange juice. The table was set with our good plates, not the everyday ones. She was wearing one of my favorite dresses, hair and makeup done, smiling like nothing had happened. "Good morning," she said too brightly. "I made breakfast." "All your favorites." "Thanks," I said, walking past her to the bedroom. "I'm running late. I'll grab something at work." I wasn't running late. I had 45 minutes before I needed to leave. I just didn't want to sit across from her and pretend everything was fine. Didn't want to play the game where she love-bombed me and I accepted it and we swept everything under the rug until the next fight. I could feel her watching me as I walked away. Could sense her confusion and frustration, but I kept walking. That set the pattern for the next few weeks. I was polite, distant, professional almost, like we were roommates instead of a couple. I came home from work, said hello, and went about my business. I'd make myself dinner or order takeout. I'd watch TV or read in the bedroom. I didn't ask about her day, didn't try to make conversation, didn't initiate anything physical, just existed in the same space without really engaging. I started going to the gym every morning at 6 a.m., started meal prepping on Sundays so I didn't have to coordinate dinners with her during the week, started saying yes to plans with Jake and my other friends that I'd been turning down for months because Jessica always wanted me around. Started reading again, something I'd always loved but had given up because Jessica thought it was antisocial for me to sit with a book when we could be spending time together. Funny thing was, my life started feeling like mine again. I'd wake up, work out, go to the office, handle my responsibilities, come home, and do what I wanted. No walking on eggshells wondering if I'd said the wrong thing. No trying to decode Jessica's mood to figure out if tonight was going to be pleasant or if I was going to get blindsided by some random accusation. Just peace. At first, Jessica seemed relieved, like she thought we were just cooling off and things would naturally go back to normal. She'd give me space, keep herself busy with her classes and her friends. But as days turned into weeks, I could see her getting more and more anxious. She'd linger in doorways when I was in a room. She'd start sentences and trail off when I didn't respond with the enthusiasm she expected. "Are we okay?" she'd ask. "We're fine," I'd respond. "You've been really distant lately." "I've been busy with work. Do you want to talk about what I said?" "Not particularly." The thing is, I meant it. I genuinely didn't want to talk about it. What was there to talk about? She'd said something deliberately cruel to hurt me during an argument. She'd succeeded. But in doing so, she'd also shown me exactly who she was when things got difficult. She was someone who weaponized intimacy. Someone who saved her cruelest ammunition for the moments when she wanted to win, consequences be damned. I started thinking about our relationship differently, not as something to salvage, but as something to evaluate objectively. Like I was analyzing a bad investment at work, looking at the actual returns versus what I'd put in. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized I'd been making excuses for a long time. Jessica was fun at parties. She knew how to work a room, make people laugh, be the center of attention. She looked good in photos, always knew her angles, made our relationship look enviable on social media. Her friends thought I was lucky to be with her, told me constantly how great she was, how I'd better not mess it up. But what did she actually bring to my life beyond appearances? What did she contribute to our day-to-day existence that made things better? I started making a mental list. When was the last time she'd done something thoughtful just because? Not because it was my birthday or a holiday, but just because she noticed I needed something or wanted to make me smile? I couldn't think of a single instance in the past 6 months. When had she last asked about my career or my goals? About the projects I was working on or the promotion I'd been angling for? She knew I worked in finance. That was about the extent of her knowledge or interest in what I did 40 hours a week. When had she last compromised on something she wanted for my benefit? I'd given up playing pickup basketball with my friends on Saturday mornings because she wanted me around. I'd stopped going to that jazz club I loved because she found it pretentious. I'd even changed my gym schedule multiple times to accommodate her preferences. What had she changed for me? Nothing. The answer was nothing. 2 months after the fight, Jessica's approach changed drastically. She started dressing up more at home, wearing the outfits she knew I liked instead of just whatever was comfortable. She cooked elaborate dinners, things that took hours to prepare when she usually preferred ordering takeout. She suggested we go out to the places we used to enjoy early in our relationship, restaurants we hadn't been to in over a year. She even bought tickets to a concert for a band I liked, something she'd always refused to do because she found my music taste boring and preferred the trendy electronic shows her friends went to. "I thought we could use a fun night out," she said, holding up the tickets with this hopeful smile on her face. Like this one gesture was going to magically fix everything. "Sure," I said. "Thanks." The concert was at the Riviera Theater. Good venue. The band played all my favorite songs. I enjoyed the music, let myself get lost in it for a while. Jessica stood next to me looking bored, spending most of the night on her phone texting her friends or scrolling through social media. She'd put on a show of enthusiasm for the first 2 songs, swaying along and smiling at me, but then the mask slipped and she just looked irritated to be there. Afterwards, she suggested we get food at this late-night spot nearby, clearly expecting the evening to rekindle something between us. That I'd be so grateful for her gesture that I'd forget everything else. "I'm pretty tired," I said. "Let's just head home." Her face fell, but she didn't argue. The text to my phone had stopped a few weeks earlier, but I noticed she'd started watching me more carefully, checking where I was going, asking more questions about my schedule. I wasn't doing anything suspicious. I went to work, went to the gym, came home. Sometimes I'd meet my buddy Jake for lunch on weekends. That was it, but I think my complete lack of reaction to her efforts was driving her crazy. She'd gone from trying to hurt me to trying to win me back, and neither approach was getting any response. 3 months in, we were at her sister's birthday dinner at some upscale Italian place in the Gold Coast. The whole family was there, along with some close friends. Jessica had been extra attentive all evening, touching my arm whenever she made a point, laughing at my jokes even when they weren't particularly funny, playing the role of the perfect girlfriend for her audience. I played along, said the right things, smiled at the right times, but it was all surface level. like I was an actor going through the motions of a script I'd performed 100 times before. Her mom kept complimenting us, saying how wonderful it was to see such a stable couple. Her dad asked about work and seemed genuinely interested in my answers. Amanda, Jessica's younger sister, kept making comments about how lucky Jessica was to have found someone like me. The whole thing felt surreal, like everyone was seeing a relationship that didn't actually exist anymore, or maybe never existed in the first place. During dessert, Amanda raised her glass for a toast. To Jessica, the best sister anyone could ask for, and to her and her amazing boyfriend. 4 years and still going strong. That's rare these days. 2 years, I corrected automatically. Everyone looked at me. The table went quiet for a second. We've been together 2 years, I repeated, keeping my voice casual. Not 4. Right, sorry, Amanda said, laughing awkwardly to cover the weird moment. It just feels like forever because you're so good together. Time flies when you're happy, right? Jessica squeezed my hand under the table hard enough that it almost hurt. I didn't squeeze back. Didn't even look at her. Just took another bite of my tiramisu. Later that night in the car, she finally broke. What is wrong with you? She demanded. You've been acting like a stranger for 3 months. I haven't been acting like anything, I said calmly. I'm just being myself. No, you're not. You're being cold and distant, and you won't talk to me about anything real. What do you want to talk about? About us. About what I said. About how we're going to fix this. I pulled into our apartment complex parking lot and turned off the car. Jessica, I'm not mad at you. Then what is this? She gestured between us. Why are you shutting me out? I'm not shutting you out. I'm just not performing anymore. Performing? Yeah, performing. Trying to make you happy. Trying to be attentive and special and exciting. I'm tired. She stared at me. So what? You're just giving up? I'm just being honest. You said you'd been faking it the entire relationship. Okay, I believe you. But if you've been faking it, then what exactly have we been doing all this time? I told you I didn't mean that. I was angry and trying to hurt you. And you succeeded. But here's the thing, Jessica. Even if you didn't mean it, you thought it was a believable enough lie to say out loud. Which means you think I'm the kind of person who could be that clueless. That oblivious to what you need. And maybe you're right. That's not fair. Probably not. But I can't stop thinking about it. Every time you touch me now, I wonder if you're faking that too. Every time you laugh at something I say, I wonder if you're just being polite. Every time you seem happy or sad or interested in anything I'm doing, I wonder if it's real or if you're just going through the motions. You put that doubt in my head, and I don't know how to get it out. She was crying now, tears running down her face and smudging her makeup. So what are you saying? You want to break up? I thought about it for a moment. Really thought about it. Did I? 3 months ago, the answer would have been an immediate no. I would have fought for us, done whatever it took to make things work, convinced myself that every relationship has rough patches, and we could get through this. But sitting in that car, looking at her tear-stained face in the dim light from the parking lot, I felt nothing but exhaustion. Not sadness, not anger, just this bone-deep tiredness from trying so hard for so long to make something work that was probably never right in the first place. I'm saying, I don't know how to be in a relationship with someone I don't trust, I finally answered. And I don't trust you anymore. I don't trust that you actually want to be with me. I don't trust that you value me or what I bring to your life. I don't trust that when things get hard again, you won't just say something even worse to try to win the argument. I would never. You already did, Jessica. And the fact that you reached for that particular weapon tells me it's been in your arsenal this whole time. You've been thinking about how inadequate I am in that area. Maybe you really have been faking it. Maybe you haven't. But you believed it was hurtful enough to say, which means some part of you thinks it could be true. She opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. We both knew I was right. We sat in silence for a long time. 5 minutes. Maybe 10. Just sitting in my car in our parking lot while our relationship died in the space between us. Finally, she got out of the car without another word and went inside. I followed a few minutes later, needing to compose myself before facing whatever came next. She was in the bedroom with the door closed. I could hear her crying through the door but didn't knock, didn't try to comfort her. Just grabbed my pillow and settled onto the couch for what I knew would be one of the last times in this apartment. The next morning, I woke up to find half her stuff gone. She'd packed while I was sleeping and left before I woke up. There was a note on the kitchen counter. I'm staying at Amanda's for a while. We both need space to think. I love you. I folded the note and threw it away. Then I called my landlord and asked what it would take to get out of our lease early. He said if I could find someone to take it over, he'd let me out with no penalty. I started looking for a new place that afternoon. Jessica texted me every day for the next week. Long messages about how much she loved me, how sorry she was, how she wanted to fix things. I read every one, didn't respond to any of them. After a week of silence from me, she showed up at the apartment. I was packing boxes in the bedroom. "What are you doing?" she asked from the doorway. "Moving out." "What?" "We were just taking some space." "I didn't say I was moving out." "I know. I'm moving out." She looked around at the boxes, at the half-empty closet, at the systematic way I was dismantling our shared life. "You can't just leave." "I can, actually. Found a place in Lincoln Park. 1 bedroom. Lease starts next week." "This is insane. We had one fight." "We've had lots of fights, Jessica. This was just the one that finally made me see clearly." "See what?" I stopped packing and looked at her. Really looked at her standing there in the doorway of what used to be our bedroom. "That you don't actually like me. You like the idea of me. The stable guy with the good job who makes you look good to your friends and family. But me, as a person, I don't think you've ever really liked me." "That's not true." "Okay. Tell me 3 things I'm passionate about that don't involve you." She opened her mouth, closed it, thought for a moment. I could see her brain working, trying to come up with the right answer. "You like music?" "What kind of music?" "I don't know. Rock? Alternative?" "I listen to jazz. Almost exclusively. Have for years. There's been a jazz festival every summer for the past 3 years that I've gone to alone because you said it was boring. I've tried to tell you about the artists I like. You've never cared enough to remember. 3 things I'm passionate about, Jessica." "What are they?" She couldn't answer. Just stood there looking at me with tears forming in her eyes again. "What's my favorite book?" I continued. "What do I actually want to do with my career 5 years from now? What's the one city I've always wanted to visit? Hell, what's my coffee order?" "This isn't fair," she said, voice breaking. "You're setting me up to fail. These are basic things, Jessica. Things that people who actually know each other would be able to answer. I know you take your coffee with oat milk and 2 sugars. I know your favorite book is that romance novel your mom gave you in college that you've read 5 times. I know you want to open your own yoga studio someday. I know you've always dreamed of going to Bali. I know these things because I pay attention when you talk, because I care about who you are beyond what you do for me. I care about you too. Do you? Or do you care about having a boyfriend? About not being alone? About having someone to split rent with and look good in pictures with?" She didn't have an answer for that either. She couldn't answer. "It's fine," I said, going back to my packing. "I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I'm just done pretending this works. I can learn those things. I can pay more attention. Give me another chance." "Why? So you can perform better?" "I don't want someone who has to try to care about me. I want someone who actually does." She left crying. I finished packing. The next 6 months were weird. I moved into my new place, a 1-bedroom apartment in a quieter neighborhood. It was smaller than what Jessica and I had shared, but it was mine. No shared lease, no compromises on furniture or decoration. Just my space. Jessica continued texting for the first month. Then the texts slowed down. Then they stopped. I never blocked her number. Never deleted our photos. Just stopped engaging and moved forward with my life. Work got better. I'd been kind of coasting for the past year, but without the constant emotional drain of my relationship, I had energy to actually focus. I started taking on more challenging projects. Got noticed by senior management. By month 3 of living alone, I'd been promoted to senior analyst with a significant raise. I started going to that jazz festival I'd always gone to alone. Met some people there. Made actual friends who shared my interests instead of just being my girlfriend's social circle. Started playing guitar again. Something I'd given up because Jessica said the noise bothered her. Around month 4 of living alone, I matched with someone named Rachel on a dating app. She was a nurse at Northwestern Memorial working in the ER. Her profile was straightforward, no games, no cryptic quotes, or overly curated photos. Just a genuine person looking to meet someone. We met for coffee at a place in Lakeview on a Saturday afternoon. She showed up on time wearing jeans and a sweater, hair pulled back in a ponytail. No elaborate outfit or makeup, just comfortable in her own skin. We talked for 3 hours. She asked about my job, actually listened to my answer, then asked follow-up questions that showed she was paying attention. She wanted to know what I liked about finance, what challenges I faced, what my goals were. It was such a novel experience that I almost didn't know how to handle it. When I asked about her work, she told me stories from the ER that were equal parts funny and heartbreaking. She talked about her patients, her coworkers, the challenges of working nights. She never once checked her phone or looked around to see who else was in the coffee shop. We started seeing each other casually after that. Nothing serious or demanding. No pressure to define what we were or where it was going. We'd get dinner, see movies, talk about our days. She introduced me to her favorite Korean restaurant in Logan Square. I took her to that jazz club in Wicker Park I'd always gone to alone. Everything felt easy, natural, like we were just two people enjoying each other's company, without all the complicated expectations and mind games I'd gotten so used to with Jessica. Rachel had her own life, her own friends, her own interests. She didn't need me to be her entertainment or her emotional support system or her Instagram boyfriend. She just liked spending time with me when our schedules aligned. One night, about 5.5 months after I'd left Jessica, Rachel and I were at her place watching a movie. Some comedy we'd both been meaning to see. During a quiet moment between scenes, she said, "Can I ask you something?" "Sure. You never really talk about your ex. You mentioned you broke up about 6 months ago, but that's all I know." Bad breakup? I thought about it. Thought about how to explain something so complicated in a way that made sense. Not really. Just necessary. That's good, I guess. Some people carry their ex baggage forever. They're still fighting with someone who's not even there anymore. She said something once that really hurt me, and I realized I was with someone who was willing to hurt me just to win an argument. That's not the kind of person I want to build a life with. Rachel nodded thoughtfully. Smart. A lot of people would have stayed and tried to fix it. Thought they could love the other person into being different. I spent 2 years trying to fix it. I just didn't realize that's what I was doing until it was obvious. We went back to watching the movie, but that conversation stuck with me for days. I'd spent so much energy with Jessica trying to be what she wanted, trying to make her happy, trying to be enough. With Rachel, I could just be myself. She either liked it or she didn't. So far, she seemed to like it just fine. Month 6 rolled around. I was at Jake's apartment for his birthday party. Small gathering, maybe 20 people. I was talking to some guys about an upcoming Bears game when Jake pulled me aside. "Hey, heads up. Jessica's here." I looked around. Sure enough, there she was near the kitchen, talking to a couple people. She hadn't seen me yet. "Want me to ask her to leave?" Jake offered. I didn't know she'd show up. Apparently, she's dating Brian's roommate now. "It's fine. It's your party. She has a right to be here." "You sure, man?" "Yeah, we're both adults." It took maybe 10 minutes before she spotted me. I saw her freeze mid-conversation, then excuse herself and head toward me. "Hi," she said. "Hey." Awkward silence. "How have you been?" she asked. "Good. You?" "Good. Yeah, I've been good." More silence. "You look different," she said. "Did you lose weight?" "Maybe a little. Started running more." "It looks good." "You look good." "Thanks." She waited, clearly expecting me to say something about her. I didn't. "I heard you got promoted," she tried. "Yeah. Senior analyst now." "That's great. That's really great. You always deserved it." I nodded but didn't elaborate. The conversation died again. She shifted her weight, uncomfortable with my lack of engagement. "So, are you seeing anyone?" "I am, actually." Something flickered across her face. Surprise, maybe. Or disappointment. That's good. I'm glad you're happy." "I am. You?" "Oh yeah. I'm seeing someone too. Brian's roommate. We've been together about 2 months now." "Good for you." More awkward silence. I could see her searching for something to say, some way to turn this into a longer conversation. I didn't help her. "Well," she finally said, "I just wanted to say hi, and to tell you I'm sorry. For everything." "Okay. That's it? Just okay?" "What do you want me to say, Jessica?" "I don't know. Something. Anything. We were together for 2 years and you're acting like I'm a stranger. We haven't spoken in 6 months. That's kind of what happens. I hurt you. I know that. And I'm genuinely sorry. But you hurt me too, you know. The way you just shut down and left. I never got any closure. I thought about that. You're right. I'm sorry for that. You deserved a real conversation about why things ended. But honestly, I don't think I had the words for it back then. I just knew I couldn't keep doing what we were doing. And now? Now I'm good. I hope you are too." She looked at me like she was seeing me for the first time. "You really moved on, didn't you? Like, completely." "I did." "Do you ever think about us? About what we had?" "Sometimes. But not in the way you probably mean." "What does that mean?" "It means I think about it as a learning experience. Something that taught me what I don't want in a relationship. No hard feelings, Jessica. I genuinely hope you're happy with your new guy. But what we had? It wasn't working for either of us. Even before that fight." I could see her eyes getting watery. "I really did love you, you know. Maybe you did, in your way. But your way of loving someone isn't what I need, and that's okay. We're just not compatible." Brian's roommate appeared then, sliding an arm around Jessica's waist. "Hey babe, ready to head out?" He looked at me. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. You're not, I said. We were just catching up. Jessica introduced us. The guy seemed nice enough. Young, energetic, worked as a personal trainer. Exactly the kind of person who could keep up with Jessica's need for constant attention and excitement. After they left, Jake came over. That looked brutal, man. You okay? Honestly? Yeah, I'm good. And I was. Seeing her didn't hurt the way I thought it might. It didn't bring up any desire to reconnect or any regret about leaving. If anything, it just confirmed that I'd made the right choice. Rachel texted me while I was still at the party. How's the birthday thing? Want me to pick you up later? I smiled at my phone. Party's wrapping up. Want to grab late night food? Yes. Tacos? Always tacos. That's the thing Jessica never understood. Love isn't supposed to be complicated. It's not supposed to be a constant performance, or negotiation, or fight to feel valued. When it's right, it's just easy. With Rachel, things were easy. We both had our own lives, our own interests, our own friends. But when we came together, it felt natural. No games, no tests, no deliberately cruel comments meant to establish dominance during arguments. Just two people who genuinely enjoyed each other's company and treated each other with basic respect. That's all I'd ever wanted. It just took Jessica saying she faked it every time for me to realize I deserved more than what we had. She'd meant that comment as a weapon. Instead, it was the truth that set me free. 3 months later, Rachel and I made things official. 6 months after that, we moved in together. The apartment we found was in the same neighborhood as my old place with Jessica, but it felt completely different. Rachel helped me pick out furniture. We compromised on paint colors. She set up her easel in the corner for her hobby painting. I set up my music equipment in the spare bedroom. Her scrubs hung next to my suits in the closet. Everything just worked. One night, about a year after that confrontation at Jake's party, Rachel and I were cooking dinner together. She was chopping vegetables while I handled the pasta. Music was playing. We were talking about our days. Nothing special. Just normal life. Hey, she said suddenly. Can I tell you something? Of course. I really love this. Us. This whole domestic thing we've got going. I smiled. Me too. No, I really love it. I've never had this with anyone before, where it's just comfortable and good without being boring. Does that make sense? Perfect sense. She put down her knife and turned to me. I don't fake anything with you. Ever. I want you to know that. How I feel, what I want, all of it. It's all real. I pulled her close. I know. And I did know. Because when something's real, you can feel it. You don't have to question it or wonder or doubt. It just is. Jessica taught me what I didn't want. Rachel showed me what I did. And looking back, I wouldn't change anything. That night in the kitchen, when Jessica tried to hurt me with her words about faking everything, she accidentally did me the biggest favor of my life. She showed me I deserved better. And then I went out and found it. The last time I heard anything about Jessica was through Jake, who'd run into her at a mutual friend's wedding about 2 years after our breakup. Apparently, she'd broken up with the personal trainer, had dated a few other guys, was single again and working at a different yoga studio. She asked about you, Jake told me. Wanted to know how you were doing. What did you tell her? That you were good, living with your girlfriend, happy. What did she say to that? Jake hesitated. She said she was glad. Then she asked if you ever talked about her. I told her no, not really. That seemed to bother her more than anything else. I thought about that for a minute. Then I shrugged. That's the thing about burning bridges. Eventually, people stopped looking back at the smoke, Jake laughed. Cold, man, but accurate. Maybe it was cold, but it was also true. Jessica had been a significant part of my life for 2 years, but she wasn't part of my present or my future. She was just someone I used to know, someone who taught me an important lesson about self-respect and knowing when to walk away. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.